Hey, it's been a hot minute. Remember when I said I was gonna be posting a lot more and coming up with new content ideas? That didn't happen so much, did it? I have really no excuse other than life happened. I think the last time I posted would have been in July, or maybe it was even June. It might, you know what? It might have been June because I did my mid-year freakout tag. So it's been a good 4 months or so now. So let me walk you through everything that's happened since we talked in June. In July, I think I was working on 75 booked still, which was an utter flop. Let me tell you, I did not complete it in any regard. So ignore the fact that that ever happened. We'll just wipe it from our memories, right? July disappeared. We had 4th of July, then it was my birthday, and then we were just prepping to move. So our move-in date into this apartment was August 1st. A lot of July was just us packing things up. I might throw some videos in here, but I was unhauling my bookshelf. I was putting books in suitcases, half in suitcases, and then the other half was clothes, so that once we got our keys on August 1st, we could move them in and then the suitcases weren't as heavy as if they were full of books. So August was all moving in. I had intentions to do a whole moving vlog, and that just is not happening. I filmed a lot of our apartment that I don't know if I feel super comfortable sharing with people about where I live, because you can see outside the windows, and I was like, I don't love that. So I'm gonna probably stitch in a couple of videos that I feel comfortable with, where I'm unhauling my bookshelf, I'm putting this back up. So this is in our second bedroom. I'm calling it the library for now because I'm imagining I'm gonna have a bunch of bookshelves against this wall. I'm gonna get a nice little reading chair in here so I can read and maybe write a little bit in the evening. We did go up to my summer home at the lake, and I've got a couple of videos of that too that I'm going to throw in. Today is a writing day, so we are going to go drive down from our camp into town, and there's a little coffee spot that we'd like to go to get some coffee, some food, and then I'll be writing and Jim will be making his D&D character for a new campaign that we're doing with our friends. We just spend a couple hours here and then we'll head back to camp. Or we'll head into town further into Saratoga and go and, shop around a little bit and then head back. Tonight is the Ring of Fire, so we're gonna show a little bit of that too. Just came back from the lake. It looks like I got sunburned. I think it's definitely because of the light here that I'm underneath. It's casting a very orangey glow, but I might have gotten a little bit sunburned. Things start kicking off around 7, so we've got some time before then. There is a tradition that we do every year on the lake. It's called the Ring of Fire. Everyone on the beach makes their own bonfire, whether it be a mini bonfire or a huge bonfire. They set off fireworks, and it's kind of the last goodbye for summertime. I also made a little vlog there that I had total intentions to post and do a come spend the weekend with me for the Ring of Fire. Never posted that. And then the next week after that, I headed to my writing retreat with some friends. This was amazing. I set out a goal back in I think it was December of last year, January of this past year, where I reached out to some old college friends. I made a Discord with them and I said, let's all get together. And so, I was I'm craving that community, that sense of community that I had when I was in college. Just reasons I made my YouTube in the first place was because I was craving that community. So I got my friends together. We had a writing retreat out in Pennsylvania, did a Airbnb, and it was so much fun. I had a PowerPoint night on our first night, and I'll throw some clips in here. It was just a fun, fantastic night of just here's what you missed in the past 10 years and here's what I'm writing. While all that was happening, I also was in the middle of applying for and interviewing for jobs. I interviewed right before the writing retreat, actually. It was the day I was leaving for the writing retreat. I had my interview with this one company, and I had just a really good feeling. And I drove out to the writing retreat. I told my friends the good news. And the company had said, you won't hear from us for another week. And I was like, it's fine. I can spend the weekend, hang out with my friends and like tell them the good news that I'm interviewing with a new company. And then at night, as we were making dinner, I got an email saying like, we'd love to move forward with you. Here's your assignment. So rather than writing on the writing retreat, I was working on an assignment for this new company. But drumroll please, I did get offered a job for that company. It's a very exciting opportunity. I'm thrilled, honestly. I shouldn't talk too much about it. Like I said, I'm trying to keep my day job and me being an author a little bit separate if I can, especially on here. No longer commuting into the city. So I get about 3, maybe 4 hours of my day back each day where I'm not commuting, which is time I can spend, either putting into writing, unpacking the apartment, because I have yet to unpack every single aspect of this apartment yet. All around me, there are boxes, there are books I still have to unpack and put into the future shelf that might one day be here. And that leads me into where I am with my writing. So the last I told the channel, I finished my fast draft of Project Mushroom, which is my cozy sapphic fantasy where a witch and apothecary owner fall in love and go on an adventure together. So that fast draft is done. I forget what the word count is, but it's not where it needs to be. It was a fast draft. It essentially taught me what the major beats of the novel were, right? So I took that, I re-outlined the entire thing. I sent off the outline to 2 CP partners, and these CP partners are May and Madison. I can throw in some stitching here as well about that experience. It is Saturday morning. I have just finished the first beginning draft of my outline. Fun fact, I switched the ending that's going to happen. So in my fast draft, I had an epilogue that I had created, and I think with this outline, I've decided that the epilogue might not actually be a thing. In the epilogue, I had one character propose, and I just feel like it was a little too fast. I don't have them propose anymore, but they do move in together. The next steps are I'm going to share it with 2 friends. I don't know where to add another element of danger, because I think it does need another element of danger in the following action. Not as severe as the climax, but it needs something. I'm going to fix it up so it makes more sense to someone reading it for the first time. I'll send it to both of them and then see what their thoughts are. Does the story trajectory make sense? Am I missing any moments of tension or any beats that I should be thinking of including? But I'm going to see what they say, and we shall see. After my mid-year freak-out video, I mentioned I wanted to finish my outline in October or September, but definitely by December, and I've done that in July. So I put in too much padding, I think. But if they don't get back to me in July or in August, that's okay, because it's going to be a busy 2 months. So I think just kind of expecting to hear back from them in September is great. And then in September, I have my writing retreat with May and a couple other friends, and so I might be able to brainstorm and throw some spaghetti at the wall with them. So I think that'll be really great. In the meantime, I have been processing Project Apple. I've got a couple chapters outlined, and I was finding that dictating was actually a really great way to get my thoughts out, which I haven't done. Tanya actually recommends dictating. I kind of like the idea of dictating just to get the ideas flowing, because at one point I kind of got a little stumped. So I'm trying that a little bit. We'll see how far it takes me, but I just wanted to document that literally the day after I posted my mid-year freakout tag, I've already finished the first draft of the outline for draft 1 of Project Mushroom. So clearly I overestimated how long that was going to take me. You're going to have to excuse the hair, or I'm going for a run, and this is the only way I know how to push back my bangs as I'm growing them out. I am training for a 5K in October, so I'm trying to run 3 times every week. Because I've been traveling so much recently, I've kind of been slacking off on that, so I'm hoping to kind of get back into it now. I have heard back from both Madison and May that they are fine with me sending them the outline to kind of give some feedback on. So I think while I'm waiting for feedback, I'm going to switch over to Project Apple and start working on that. I got a message late last night that Madison had sent over my outline with some notes. So we are going to go through that, look through it, see what notes that she has. I have not read them yet. And then,
yeah, I thought it'd be fun to kind of like take you along this journey with me to look at my CP notes. My other CP, May, is looking at them today and this weekend. She's also planning a wedding, so I did not expect her to get back to me within the month. But I am like super appreciative that both of them are so responsive and have gotten, feedback back to me so quickly, or will give feedback to me so quickly. Okay, so I read through her notes. They all totally make sense to me. One thing that I was noticing was that I felt like I didn't know if I needed it in the first half or the second half, but the pacing wasn't right. And I added a little bit to the front half in my outline, and I was kind of questioning, like, should I add more to the back half? Like, I feel as though I chronically underwrite, and so I know that it needs something, but I can't tell if it needed to be before the midpoint or after the midpoint. And Madison very clearly was like, it needs to be in the before the midpoint, so that we can see more of like the character motivations, their arcs, the town around them, because it is supposed to be a cozy fantasy, but they very quickly leave their hometown where a lot of the cozy elements are. She also mentioned seeing one of my characters, Marigold's, motivations a little bit more focused, which again, totally agree with. I noticed I was leaning a lot more on Sable's point of view and Sable's motivations because they are the main driver of the story. Marigold is a little bit more, she has obviously stake in the game as well, but it's more of a softer focus. A lot of her stuff has to do with grief and like internal motivations. And so I think it makes it a quieter impact, and I'm kind of not quite losing it throughout the thread of the story, but because there are so many other higher motivations like life or death, that the grief aspect and the internal motivation to better oneself is kind of going to the wayside a little bit. So totally agree there that I need to focus on her motivations just a little bit more. And then she left me a couple of comments in the manuscript, which kind of just boil down to the same things that she's been saying. All things I think that she's 100% correct on. These are all things I need to work on. I'm really excited that she likes the idea, and I've definitely got my work cut out for me now.
So all that to say, they both had very similar points, which pointed me in the direction of like, I'm on the right path. There's a couple things I need to tweak. I decided in August I was going to just take an entire month off writing. It was a busy month. So I decided if I was doing any writing, it would not be regimented. It would just be kind of fun. It wouldn't be Project Mushroom. I had full intentions to write in September, to write at the writing retreat. But as I said, an assessment came around. I did not write Project Mushroom. I did not do my first official draft of Project Mushroom. Instead, Project Apple kind of crept its way into my heart a little bit more, and I started writing that. Now, what is Project Apple, you might ask? Project Apple is a witchy book club novel. It is heavily inspired by a local legend in upstate New York and my own family's apple orchard that we've had in my family for 4 generations. It's set during August, September, and so it feels really right to write it now. So I'm kind of fast drafting that, and it's been a lot of fun. It's something that's so different than a cozy fantasy. So I am about 20,000 words into Project Apple. Most recently, because it is this autumn time period, my mom and I always go to an apple orchard that's nearby. This year we decided not to go to the one that we usually go to, and I asked her to take me to one nearby that reminded her the most of the apple orchard that she grew up on.
If these trees had taller trunks, this is what my trees would look like at home.
So we went to one down in like South Jersey, and I was kind of describing what the book was about and what I was envisioning my character to be walking through, and kind of like what essentially my protagonist inherits this manor, this estate. It's a farm and there's an apple orchard on it, and I was trying to describe to my mom what my character would be facing. And my mom brought up all these different things that might occur to my protagonist as she's inheriting this house and kind of uncovering different aspects of the land, which is it's very cool because I was able to bond my mom a little bit, but also like kind of learn about her history when she worked on the apple orchard. And there was like just, different things that I'm gonna be able to weave into the story a little bit more and kind of really bring that to life. My idea is that when I finish, my first fast draft. Again, I'm going to do an outline. I'll send to my CP partners. And when I write that first draft, I want to give the first draft to my mom to read, just to make sure that the parts of living on the orchard or the parts of living on a farm feel correct to what she experienced when she was working on, when she worked on the orchard. I think that's like one thing that I want to be very diligent about, is making that experience true to like what she grew up on and what she experienced. My mom's experience of being on the apple orchard is, several decades old now. I'm kind of hoping that that works, because the apple orchard that she inherits is supposed to be centuries old, and it hasn't been really touched in a couple of decades too. And I'm kind of hoping that works in a way. Yeah, I'm 20,000 words deep. It's a dual POV, so I'm doing 2 different timelines. One is present and one is past. In here as well, I'm just kind of like, again, this is very much a Frankenstein stitch. This is just to tell you about my updates. I'm still alive, I'm still writing. It's just been a while, it's been hectic. There's been a lot going on. I have also full intentions to write my first draft of Project Mushroom. From that outline that I had written, I just wanted to take a little bit of a break. I'm kind of worried about the bubble of cozy fantasy potentially bursting. And I know you're supposed to write what you want and write what you want to read, but I feel like at the moment, Project Apple is a little bit more sellable than Project Mushroom. And again, that might change. The industry is always changing, right? That's how I'm feeling right now, and I'm feeling very motivated to write Project Apple, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. I know that I think it's called like the Writing Her 3-lay is this weekend. I have a 5K. Oh, that's another thing, is that I've been training for a 5K since April. And that 5K is happening this weekend. So I'm hoping to film for the 5K, film for the writing relay this weekend too. I feel like this year has been nothing but just like go, 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 go. And we're finally almost at the end of the year. And I'm looking back and it feels like there's been so many things that I've done. And just like this has been just like a very rewarding year. Thank you for, bearing with me, and I'm here. I'm writing, and I'm hoping to post more videos, create more content, and just kind of be more present here and be more mindful of making that content so that I can put something online. If you've made it this far, send me a little like apple or like autumn leaves, and let me know how your fall has been doing. All right, bye guys.